Hello, my wonderful friends. I'm so glad you're here today, and I want to start by asking you a simple question. How often have you found yourself saying yes when you really meant no? How many times have you stretched yourself so thin to help someone only to find that they were asking for more and more and more? I know many of us have been there, but today I want us to take a moment to reflect on a powerful lesson sometimes. Saying no is the best way to help. First, let's talk about boundaries. Boundaries are not just a buzzword, they are a necessity. We all have our limits, our emotional, physical, and mental bandwidths. And when you give too much to someone who is constantly asking for more, you begin to drain yourself. The reality is you cannot pour from an empty cup. Now, there are some individuals who might try to manipulate your kindness to guilt you into doing things they could do themselves. These people are experts at emotional blackmail. You've seen it before, haven't you? They ask for help, and the minute you say no, they twist your response into something it's not. Maybe they call you heartless, maybe they make you feel selfish. But here's the truth: saying no to someone who constantly asks for help is not selfish, it's an act of self-respect. Helping others should come from a place of empathy, but it should never cross the line into enabling. When you help someone too much, especially someone who is consistently irresponsible or unwilling to change, you are not being helpful. Instead, you are enabling a cycle of dependency that ultimately robs them of the opportunity to grow. And I know you want to see the people around you grow, right? So when you enable them, you're standing in the way of their personal growth. I've learned that toxic behavior thrives when it's continuously met with assistance. Some people have perfected the art of asking for help without ever taking responsibility for their actions. If you find yourself constantly helping someone who never changes, never tries to change, and only takes from you, it's time to take a step back. This isn't about being cold or uncaring, it's about teaching them that self-reliance is just as important as kindness. The truth is, there's a fine line between empathy and enabling. Empathy means you understand and feel for someone's struggle. Enabling means you perpetuate that struggle by making it easier for them to stay stuck. And here's the thing: as much as we love and care for others, sometimes the best way to help them is to teach them responsibility. Sometimes saying no is the lesson they need to learn how to take responsibility for their own lives. There will always be people who show you a pattern of neediness, asking for your help every single time they encounter a problem. But let me tell you this, my friends, not every request for help deserves a yes. Not every cry for assistance is a genuine call for help. And there are people who will use your willingness to help as a tool to keep themselves from facing their own truths. And let's not forget that by setting boundaries and not overextending ourselves, we are also preserving our own well-being. You cannot be everything to everyone. Protect your peace, protect your energy, because only when you're at your best can you show up for those who truly need you. Helping someone shouldn't come at the cost of your happiness, your health, or your mental peace. Remember, sometimes when we don't help, we're actually helping. We are teaching people to stand on their own 2 feet, to make better choices, and to take charge of their own destiny. Self-sufficiency is a gift, even when it's difficult to give. So today, I encourage you to trust your instincts, recognize the red flags, know when to help, and more importantly, know when not to help. Stand firm in your boundaries, because saying no is often the most loving thing you can do for both you and the person you care about. Thank you for listening, and always remember that you are worthy of respect, of rest, and of peace. Keep choosing you. This speech captures the essence of saying no when it's the right choice, framed in a supportive, empowering way. Boundaries are an essential part of healthy relationships, both with others and ourselves. We often hear about boundaries in the context of personal relationships, but what does it really mean to set a boundary? Simply put, boundaries are the limits we set to protect our time, energy, emotions, and well-being. They help define where we end and where someone else begins. Without boundaries, we risk overextending ourselves and giving too much, leaving us depleted, frustrated, or even resentful. Think about a time when you felt drained after helping someone, perhaps when you agreed to do something out of obligation rather than desire. You might have said yes because you didn't want to disappoint them or make them feel unsupported, but inside you felt like you were giving away more than you could afford. This is what happens when boundaries are unclear or non-existent. We end up compromising our own needs and peace for the sake of others, and while it's admirable to be generous and caring, it's important to recognize that our own limits are just as important as anyone else's. Setting boundaries is not about shutting people out or being unkind. It's about creating space where both our needs and the needs of others are respected. It means having the courage to say no when something feels too much for us, even when others might be counting on us. It's an act of self-care and self-respect, not selfishness. Boundaries allow us to maintain balance in our lives so that when we do help, we can give from a place of abundance, not depletion. When we establish and honor our boundaries, we teach others how to respect them too. This doesn't mean that every request will be easy to turn down, but it does mean we are honoring our own emotional health. Boundaries empower us to choose when and how we offer our help, ensuring that we aren't sacrificing our peace or energy in the process. Ultimately, respecting our boundaries means recognizing that we can only give to others as much as we are willing and able to give, without harming ourselves in the process. Manipulation is a subtle yet powerful force that can often go unnoticed until it has already taken a toll. It involves influencing someone's actions or decisions in a way that serves the manipulator's interests, often at the expense of the other person's well-being. Unlike straightforward requests for help, manipulation is usually disguised under the guise of neediness, guilt, or emotional appeals. The manipulator might ask for help in ways that make you feel like you must say yes, or will make you survive. They may use your sense of obligation or empathy to get what they want. At its core, manipulation seeks to control or influence you without your full awareness. The manipulator knows exactly how to push your buttons, making you feel guilty, responsible, or incapable of saying no. They may use tactics like playing on your emotions, creating a sense of urgency, or even making you feel like a bad person for not helping. Sometimes they may even present themselves as helpless victims, which triggers your instinct to protect or assist them, all while hiding their true intentions to get you to act in their favor without considering your needs. What's dangerous about manipulation is that it can be hard to spot at first. Manipulators are often skilled at masking their true motivations, and if you are someone who is naturally compassionate or eager to help, it's easy to fall into their trap. Over time, they may exploit your kindness and generosity, asking for more and more help, knowing you'll feel compelled to comply. And while it might seem harmless at first, maybe it's just a small favor or one-time request, when these manipulative behaviors continue, they can begin to erode your sense of autonomy and leave you feeling drained or even resentful. Manipulation can be emotionally and mentally exhausting. You may find yourself constantly trying to please the other person, putting their needs ahead of your own, and sacrificing your peace for the sake of keeping them satisfied. This often creates an unhealthy dynamic, where the manipulator feels entitled to your help, while you feel increasingly obligated to give, even when you don't want to. And let's be clear, helping someone out of guilt or manipulation is not true assistance. It's a form of enabling, and it perpetuates a cycle where the manipulator is never held accountable for their own actions or choices. One of the most harmful aspects of toxic behavior is its ability to gradually wear down the people involved. In the beginning, you might chalk it up to small annoyances or misunderstandings, but over time, these small issues accumulate into larger emotional tolls. Whether it's a partner who constantly belittles you, a friend who only contacts you when they need something, or a colleague who takes credit for your work, toxic behavior slowly erodes trust and respect in relationships. A key characteristic of toxic behavior is the manipulation of others' emotions to get what the toxic individual wants. This can involve guilt tripping, playing on insecurities, or creating a false sense of urgency to get you to act on their behalf. The toxic person may intentionally or unintentionally make you feel like your needs are secondary to theirs, and over time you may begin to doubt your own value, leaving you feeling emotionally drained and constantly on edge. Another form of toxic behavior is that of never taking responsibility for one's actions. Instead of recognizing and owning up to their mistakes, individuals with toxic tendencies often shift the blame to others or deny their role in the situation altogether. This prevents accountability and creates a sense of instability in the relationship. The lack of responsibility prevents any opportunity for growth or resolution, as the person continues to make the same mistakes without ever learning from them. While the impact of toxic behavior can be deeply unsettling, it's important to recognize that toxic people often don't realize the harm they are causing. Their actions are frequently rooted in their own insecurities, fears, or learned behaviors. However, that doesn't make it any less damaging. Toxic individuals may be so wrapped up in their own struggles that they fail to see the toll their behavior takes on others. And if left unchecked, toxic behavior can cause long-term emotional damage, not only to those around them, but also to themselves, as they miss the opportunity to change and evolve. Recognizing toxic behavior is the first step toward creating healthier boundaries in your life. It's important to be aware of how these behaviors manifest and to trust your own feelings. If someone consistently makes you feel bad about yourself, undermines your efforts, or drains your emotional energy, it may be time to step back and reconsider the relationship. Setting boundaries with toxic individuals is crucial, as it helps protect your own mental and emotional health. And while it might be hard to confront this kind of behavior, doing so is often the only way to create the space for healthier, more supportive relationships. The sooner you recognize toxic behavior, the sooner you can begin to distance yourself from it, focusing on relationships that uplift, support, and empower you instead. Empathy and enabling may seem similar at first glance, as both involve responding to someone else's struggles, but there is a profound difference between the two. Empathy is the ability to understand and share in someone's feelings or experiences without necessarily trying to fix the situation for them. It's about being present, listening, and offering emotional support, recognizing their pain and acknowledging their feelings. Empathy allows someone to feel heard and understood, and it fosters a sense of connection, compassion, and shared humanity. It's not about solving the person's problems for them, but about walking alongside them as they navigate their own challenges. On the other hand, enabling involves taking actions that, although often well-intentioned, end up making it easier for someone to continue harmful or unproductive behaviors. Enabling often means stepping in to alleviate someone's struggles in a way that prevents them from facing the consequences of their actions or learning how to manage their own difficulties. While empathy shows care and understanding, enabling crosses a line into overprotectiveness or overassistance, and in doing so, it reinforces a pattern of dependency, irresponsibility, or avoidance. Enabling can happen in many forms. For example, if someone continually makes poor decisions, whether financially, socially, or emotionally, and you step in every time to fix their problems, you may be unintentionally encouraging them to avoid taking responsibility for their actions. While your help might seem compassionate in the moment, it can prevent the person from developing the skills, maturity, and self-reliance needed to learn from their mistakes. Rather than allowing them to confront the natural consequences of their actions, you may be allowing them to stay stuck in a cycle where they rely on others rather than grow and change. Enabling doesn't necessarily mean offering help in a direct, obvious way. It can also be more subtle, like making excuses for someone or allowing them to avoid difficult situations. For example, covering for a friend who frequently cancels plans because they haven't taken responsibility for their own time management might seem like a supportive gesture, but it can also reinforce their inability to respect others' time and hold themselves accountable. By continually offering solutions or taking on responsibilities that aren't ours to carry, we prevent the other person from feeling the necessary discomfort that prompts change. The key distinction between empathy and enabling lies in the intention behind the action and the ultimate result. Empathy allows a person to feel supported and understood, while enabling gives them the freedom to continue avoiding personal responsibility. With empathy, you give someone the emotional space to grow, while with enabling, you take away their opportunity for growth by stepping in too often. In the long run, enabling can do more harm than good because it perpetuates a cycle of dependency, while empathy empowers someone to navigate their challenges on their own. The challenge is knowing when to step back. Empathy involves offering a listening ear or comforting someone in their struggles, but it also means recognizing when your assistance is preventing them from developing resilience or learning valuable life lessons. True empathy doesn't mean solving everything for someone. It means supporting them in finding their own solutions, offering guidance without taking over, and trusting them to handle their own challenges. In the end, empathy is about creating an environment where the person feels safe enough to face their own fears and problems, knowing they are not alone in their journey. Enabling, while often motivated by love or a desire to help, ultimately undermines their ability to grow and develop the independence they need to thrive. By recognizing the difference and practicing empathy without enabling, you empower others to become stronger, more capable individuals who can take responsibility for their lives and make better decisions moving forward. Recognizing red flags in relationships or interactions is crucial for maintaining your emotional well-being and setting healthy boundaries. These red flags often manifest as subtle signs that something isn't quite right, but they may be easy to overlook, especially if you're trying to be kind, supportive, or avoid confrontation. However, these warning signs are your intuition's way of signaling that something needs to be addressed before it becomes more harmful or damaging. One of the most common red flags is when someone repeatedly asks for help but never seems to change their behavior. This can be particularly concerning if they make no effort to address the underlying issues that lead them to ask for help over and over again. For example, if someone consistently finds themselves in financial trouble but never takes steps to improve their financial situation, or if they always seek emotional support but avoid taking responsibility for their actions. It's a sign that they may be relying on others to solve their problems rather than making the necessary changes themselves. This pattern of behavior may signal a dependency issue, or in some cases manipulation, where the person is taking advantage of your willingness to help without intending to make any real changes. Additionally, people who regularly exhibit toxic communication habits should raise a red flag. This can include behaviors like guilt tripping, gaslighting, or belittling your feelings. Guilt tripping involves making you feel responsible for their discomfort or problems, often by making you feel like a bad person for not helping them. Gaslighting, on the other hand, is a form of manipulation where someone denies your reality, causing you to doubt your perceptions and emotions. Belittling or invalidating your feelings is another common red flag, where they dismiss your emotions as unimportant or unreasonable, which undermines your sense of self-worth. These behaviors can cause long-term emotional harm because they make you second-guess your thoughts and feelings, leading you to feel confused, insecure, or powerless. A more subtle but equally important red flag is when someone disregards your boundaries. This can manifest in many ways, such as pressuring you to do things you're uncomfortable with or not respecting your need for space. If someone continually oversteps your limits, whether it's pushing for more help than you're willing to give or disregarding your need for rest or time for yourself, it indicates a lack of respect for your personal autonomy. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, and when your boundaries are not honored, it signals an unhealthy dynamic where your needs are not being valued. It's also important to be aware of patterns of emotional manipulation. For example, someone may use your past kindness or their own vulnerability as a tool to get you to do what they want. They might remind you of times when you helped them in the past, creating an emotional obligation, or they may play the victim to make you feel responsible for their well-being. This emotional manipulation is a form of control, and it's a clear sign that the person is using their emotional state to influence your behavior for their benefit, often without regard for your own needs or feelings. Lastly, a red flag can be when the relationship feels consistently one-sided. If you're always the one giving, whether it's emotional support, time, energy, or resources, and the other person is rarely contributing in any meaningful way, it's a sign that the relationship may not be healthy. Healthy relationships are based on balance and mutual give and take. If you find that you're the one doing most of the emotional labor or the heavy lifting, and the other person isn't reciprocating, it's important to reassess the situation. One-sided relationships can lead to burnout, resentment, and a sense of being taken for granted. Recognizing these red flags early on is crucial for protecting yourself from becoming enmeshed in a toxic or draining dynamic. Often these red flags aren't immediately obvious, and it can take time for them to fully unfold. However, trusting your instincts and paying attention to your feelings and experiences can help you spot them before they cause significant harm. Once you recognize these patterns, it's important to take action, whether that's setting clearer boundaries, having an honest conversation, or stepping back from the relationship if necessary. Protecting your mental and emotional health should always be a priority, and recognizing red flags allows you to make healthier choices and preserve your well-being. Preserving your well-being is essential to living a balanced and fulfilling life. It goes beyond simply avoiding stress or discomfort. It's about actively taking steps to protect your mental, emotional, and physical health so you can thrive, not just survive. In today's fast-paced world where demands from work, family, and social obligations can quickly become overwhelming, it's easy to forget to prioritize ourselves. But in order to care for others effectively or pursue our goals, we must first ensure that we are taking care of ourselves. One of the most important aspects of preserving your well-being is understanding your limits. It's vital to recognize when you've reached the point of emotional or physical exhaustion and need to recharge. For many of us, this means acknowledging when we've taken on too much, whether it's in our relationships, our jobs, or our responsibilities at home. Learning to say no is not always easy, especially if we fear letting others down or disappointing them, but it's necessary to protect your energy. Saying no doesn't mean you're being selfish. It means you are honoring your own needs and recognizing that you can only give so much before you need to step back and restore yourself. Setting boundaries is an integral part of maintaining your well-being. Boundaries protect your personal space, your time, and your emotions. They allow you to decide where your energy goes and who gets access to it. Without boundaries, it's easy to become overextended, putting everyone else's needs ahead of your own, which ultimately leads to burnout. Whether it's protecting your time by saying no to unnecessary commitments or guarding your emotional health by limiting toxic relationships, boundaries help keep you grounded. Establishing clear limits ensures that you don't constantly sacrifice your peace for the sake of others' demands or expectations. Part of preserving your well-being also involves recognizing when you're in relationships or situations that are draining or harmful. It's easy to become entangled in toxic dynamics, whether it's with family, friends, or romantic partners, but staying in unhealthy relationships can take a significant toll on your mental and emotional health. If you find yourself feeling consistently drained, anxious, or unappreciated, it may be time to reassess the relationship. Preserving your well-being means knowing when to step away from situations that aren't serving you, even if it's difficult or uncomfortable. It might mean setting firm boundaries, having tough conversations, or in some cases, cutting ties entirely. In addition to managing your emotional well-being, taking care of your physical health plays a vital role. Regular exercise, maintaining a healthy diet, and getting enough rest all contribute to a better sense of overall well-being. Physical health and mental health are closely linked, and when one is neglected, the other often suffers. By prioritizing your physical health, you not only feel better, but also give yourself the energy and resilience to deal with life's challenges. In a world that often encourages you to give, it's essential to remember that your well-being matters. Taking the time to preserve your mental, emotional, and physical health not only benefits you, but it also allows you to show up as your best self for others. By setting boundaries, practicing self-care, and taking proactive steps to protect your peace, you empower yourself to live a fuller, more balanced life. Your well-being is the foundation on which everything else is built, and it's worth protecting at all costs. One way to teach self-responsibility is by setting clear expectations and boundaries. When individuals know what is expected of them and understand the consequences of not meeting those expectations, they are more likely to take ownership of their responsibilities. For example, in a workplace setting, clear roles and job descriptions help employees understand what is required of them. Similarly, in personal relationships, open communication about needs, desires, and boundaries encourages accountability and mutual respect. By creating an environment where expectations are clear and reasonable, individuals can better align their actions with their responsibilities. Encouraging problem solving is another key aspect of teaching self-responsibility. Instead of offering immediate solutions when challenges arise, it's important to guide others in thinking through the situation and finding their own answers. This builds critical thinking skills and reinforces the idea that they are capable of handling challenges on their own. When faced with a problem, ask questions like, "What do you think could be done about this?" Or what choices do you have? Allowing individuals to weigh their options and decide on a course of action empowers them to take responsibility for their decisions. It also helps them understand that with each decision comes the potential for success or failure, and both are part of the learning process. A crucial part of teaching self-responsibility is fostering the ability to deal with failure in a constructive way. Often, when people make mistakes or experience setbacks, their instinct is to avoid blame or to fall into self-pity. Instead of allowing this mindset to take hold, it's important to teach individuals to view failure as a learning opportunity. When someone makes a mistake, ask them what they learned from the experience and how they might approach it differently next time. Encouraging resilience and a growth mindset helps individuals realize that failure is not the end, but rather a necessary part of growth and development. The key is to take ownership of mistakes and use them as stepping stones toward improvement. Equally important is helping individuals develop self-discipline, which is central to self-responsibility. This involves teaching the importance of setting goals, staying focused, and managing time effectively. Self-discipline allows individuals to stay on track, even when distractions or challenges arise. It's about consistently following through on commitments, whether they're big or small. Teaching self-discipline can start with something simple like following through on a task they said they would do and gradually building up to larger responsibilities. As individuals practice self-discipline, they learn to rely on themselves to manage their time, resources, and actions in order to achieve their goals. Ultimately, teaching self-responsibility is about helping individuals realize that they have the power to shape their lives and control their outcomes. It's about encouraging them to be proactive rather than reactive, to think critically about their decisions, and to take ownership of both their successes and their failures. By fostering a sense of accountability, problem-solving, resilience, and self-discipline, you empower others to navigate life with confidence, integrity, and independence. These are the traits that not only contribute to personal fulfillment, but also help build strong, responsible communities. Through these lessons, individuals are equipped not just to meet external expectations, but to honor their own commitments to themselves, creating a sense of pride and self-worth that comes from knowing they are in control of their own destiny. Helping others is a deeply ingrained part of human nature. We are wired to lend a hand to those we care about, to offer support during difficult times, and to be there for our friends, family, and colleagues when they need assistance. However, sometimes, despite our best intentions, helping others can actually become harmful, not just for the person we're trying to help, but for ourselves as well. The line between genuinely helpful support and harmful enabling can often be thin, and it's important to recognize when our efforts are doing more harm than good. One of the ways that helping can become harmful is when we take on too much responsibility for someone else's well-being. While offering support in times of need is important, it's equally crucial to recognize the line between offering help and taking over someone's life. For example, repeatedly stepping in to solve a person's problems, particularly if they are capable of solving them themselves, can prevent them from learning how to manage their own challenges. Instead of empowering them to develop resilience, this kind of overhelping fosters dependency, where the individual becomes reliant on others for solutions, even when they have the ability to handle things independently. This tendency to overhelp can be especially damaging when it involves shielding someone from the natural consequences of their actions. When we intervene to fix situations before they can experience the outcomes of their choices, we inadvertently deprive them of important learning experiences. Struggling with the consequences of one's actions is an essential part of personal growth, teaching responsibility, accountability, and self-reliance. Without these experiences, the person may not develop the skills necessary to handle future challenges, and they may become more dependent on others for support, ultimately stunting their personal development. Another aspect of when helping becomes harmful is when we neglect our own well-being in the process. Sometimes, in our eagerness to help, we may overextend ourselves, sacrificing our time, energy, and even our emotional health to assist others. This can quickly lead to burnout, resentment, and a sense of being unappreciated. We may feel emotionally drained, taken for granted, or even overwhelmed by the constant demands placed on us. When we give so much of ourselves without replenishing our own emotional reserves, we are left with little to offer in the long run, and may even begin to resent the person we're helping, despite our initial good intentions. Helping can also become harmful when it's rooted in guilt or obligation rather than genuine care. For instance, if we help someone out of a sense of duty or because we feel we should rather than because we truly want to, the help we offer may come with unspoken expectations or resentment. This kind of help lacks the emotional energy and compassion that makes true assistance beneficial. Over time, helping under duress can lead to a strained relationship where the person on the receiving end may begin to feel like a burden, while the helper may feel trapped in an ongoing cycle of giving without receiving. In some situations, people may ask for help but have no intention of changing their behavior or addressing the root cause of their struggles. In these cases, continual help may enable destructive behaviors rather than supporting positive change. For example, if someone constantly asks for financial assistance but refuses to take responsibility for their spending habits or find sustainable ways to improve their financial situation, continuing to help them may encourage a pattern of irresponsibility. They may come to rely on others to bail them out, never learning the financial skills or responsibility necessary for long-term stability. At times, helping can also blur the lines of personal boundaries. When someone consistently asks for help in ways that make you feel obligated to comply, it can create an unhealthy dynamic in the relationship. Whether it's a friend who constantly leans on you for emotional support without offering anything in return, or a colleague who consistently offloads their responsibilities onto you, these situations can leave you feeling drained, unappreciated, and resentful. The lack of balance in the relationship leads to a sense of exploitation rather than genuine mutual support. Setting and maintaining healthy boundaries is essential in preventing helping from becoming harmful to your own emotional and mental well-being. Sometimes when we help others too much, we also rob them of their sense of autonomy and self-worth. Everyone has their own journey, and part of that journey is learning how to manage one's life, handle disappointments, and navigate challenges. Overhelping, particularly in the form of micromanagement or constant intervention, can undermine someone's ability to trust in their own abilities and decision-making. They may begin to feel inadequate or incapable, relying on others to solve their problems rather than developing the skills and confidence needed to tackle them independently. In some cases, stepping back and allowing someone to experience the natural consequences of their actions can be the most supportive thing you can do for them. Encouraging self-reliance, offering guidance rather than solutions, and respecting their ability to grow and learn on their own can foster greater independence and personal development. It's also essential to recognize that saying no or setting boundaries is not a sign of being unkind, but rather an act of self-preservation and respect for both your own needs and theirs. Ultimately, helping should always come from a place of genuine care and support, not from a sense of obligation or a desire to control. When it empowers others to stand on their own, it nurtures growth, confidence, and independence. But when it becomes enabling or self-sacrificial, it can harm both the person you are helping and yourself. By recognizing when helping becomes harmful, we can ensure that our support is truly constructive, nurturing personal growth and maintaining healthy relationships built on mutual respect and understanding. Concluding with empowerment is the ultimate goal of any supportive relationship or interaction. Empowerment isn't just about offering assistance, it's about enabling others to discover and harness their own strength, autonomy, and capacity for growth. True empowerment fosters independence, confidence, and the belief that individuals have the tools and ability to create change in their own lives. Whether in personal relationships, professional settings, or community engagements, the focus should always be on uplifting others in a way that allows them to stand strong on their own, not perpetually relying on external help. Empowerment starts with recognizing that each person has inherent worth, capabilities, and potential. It's about respecting the individual's ability to make decisions and take ownership of their life while offering guidance and support when necessary. Rather than fixing problems for others, true empowerment involves providing them with the resources, encouragement, and space to find their own solutions. It involves listening deeply to their concerns, helping them gain clarity, and then stepping back to allow them the room to act on what they've learned. The result is not just solving a problem, but cultivating the confidence that comes with knowing they have the power to handle challenges in the future. It's important to recognize that empowerment doesn't mean doing everything alone or rejecting support entirely. Empowerment is about creating a balance where individuals can rely on their own abilities while knowing that seeking help when needed is a strength, not a weakness. It's the understanding that independence doesn't mean isolation, and that being empowered means knowing when to collaborate, ask for advice, or lean on others without losing the sense of personal responsibility or control. Empowerment also requires creating environments where people feel safe and supported in expressing themselves. When individuals feel heard, valued, and understood, they are more likely to take risks, try new things, and believe in their own potential. Empowering someone isn't about dictating what they should do or how they should behave. It's about honoring their unique perspective and providing them with the freedom to make choices that align with their values and goals. It's about trusting them to know what's best for themselves and offering guidance that respects their autonomy. Furthermore, empowerment encourages resilience. Life is full of setbacks, challenges, and moments of doubt, but when people feel empowered, they are better equipped to navigate those difficulties with strength and grace. They understand that failure is not an end, but a step in the process of growth. Instead of being discouraged by mistakes, empowered individuals learn from them, adjust their approach, and continue forward. They see challenges as opportunities to build their own resilience, and through this mindset, they develop the fortitude needed to handle whatever life throws their way. In conclusion, empowering others is the key to creating lasting, meaningful change in both individuals and communities. It's about giving people the confidence to take control of their own lives, the tools to solve their problems, and the belief that they can face whatever challenges come their way. Empowerment is not about making people dependent on us. It's about helping them realize that they have the strength, knowledge, and ability to shape their own destinies. In this way, we not only help others, but we also contribute to a world where individuals can thrive, create, and succeed with self-confidence and resilience. Empowerment is not just the end goal, it is the path that leads to growth, independence, and lasting change.